So, just coming up to Belfast. Well, I can see Harland and Wolff on a traffic jam, of course. You can see the Europa, and just behind it, Grand Central. It's Grand Central Hotel. The nice little seahorse logo. Both those hotels, I think, are part of the Hastings Group. They've got a good few nice hotels. Stormont is another one as well. So yeah, I'm not actually going to Belfast, but a lot of places, I suppose, on that side of the country, yeah. So I have to head towards Belfast, and I'm pretty close to the city centre here, and I don't want to go to the city centre, and I wonder if that might be why the traffic is pretty much, well, it's so bad, you know. But yeah, it is moving, so I'm not going to complain too much. Yeah, we are moving. It's quite a nice cityscape. A few minutes ago, like I said, I could see some of the more famous hotels, but also Harland and Wolff, which unfortunately ceased trading. I think the last week or so. From its heyday, I suppose, building the Titanic when there was tens of thousands of employees, there's 147, I think 150, something like that. And basically, they've gone into liquidation. So they did look for a buyer, the owner, I think, but they didn't. One wasn't found anyway. So 150 people are going to be out of work. I mean, numbers-wise and what they did, you know, it's not a massive loss really. For Belfast, I think the iconic Harland and Wolff name, though, yeah, it'll be a little bit sad now. So, I think the cranes are protected structures. I'm not sure. If they're not, I'd say they will become protected structures because they are. Having flown into, I flew and sailed into Belfast many times. They're quite iconic. They really stand out on the landscape. And you know exactly where you are, you know. So, so yeah, hopefully they'll protect them as a structure if they don't find a commercial use for them. And it's one of those things. I think it's probably impressive the company still exists. I think nowadays companies don't last many years. I think going back 50 years, a company would last maybe up to 70 years with the natural life of a successful company. Recently, I think that's down to about 18 years. And now, because acquisitions and there's some very large conglomerates and venture capital companies, yeah, companies do seem to change hands a lot. And names disappear. I'm actually thinking about chocolate, would you believe it? Roundtree Macintosh. I think there's a company, someone called Mondelez. Now, I don't know if they're to do with venture capitalists buying up these iconic brands just to make a buck. I think it's not very good. I probably mentioned it before actually, but you feel like the soul is gone out of the company in a sense. They're so focused on the return for the investors. Maybe they don't take as many risks as the company would have done on products and brands that they think people want. And I think that's sad. Yeah. I think there's more to a company than its financials. But yeah. And I'm just coming onto the M2. I can see Harland and Wolff actually, the crane. See a company called T-Sys as well. That's very interesting. There's a building and it says, what did it say, T-Sys on the top? Maybe I read that wrong. But T-Sys is a company that does credit card processing services. They might have an office here, it's possible. Anything's possible, isn't it? So I'm joining on to the M2. Well, this heads towards Larne from Belfast. It's quite busy at the moment. Everybody's changing lanes, big trucks and the like. I'm just going to stay here for a bit in this lane. Lovely mountains around Belfast. It's lovely scenery. You know. I always like that. I mean, I grew up in Yorkshire, in the north of England, and it's quite hilly. I mean, you know, someone might say that's not a mountain, it's not big enough, but they were very big hills, and they were the backdrop really to my childhood and growing up. And I always like to see it now. I suppose if you live here, you get used to it, I suppose.